Should people be banned in game for things they're doing way outside the game?
Yes, 100%.
Really?
Yeah, we would have a much more mature community if this was constantly happening. This happens in other esports. This happens in sports. You get fined for, saying, talking about the refs. You get fined for cursing in an interview. Zexro doing something bad in Ninja Battles should reflect in Fortnite if Epic has an issue with it. Welcome to the 4th episode of the FNTASIA podcast. Today it's just us. We don't have a guest, unfortunately. There is a lot of things going on in the Fortnite world. Literally, it's Wild Wednesday happening right now. FNCS is happening. Literally tomorrow is the first heat starting up. Actually, what is it? All the heats, I guess. In any case, it's going to be a fun weekend. We got a lot to talk about, Shio, and I can't wait to do it.
Yeah, we got like 4 days of stuff coming up back to back, which is not like something we're usually used to. I have people working in my bathroom as well, so enjoy that drill sound, the hammer sound, jackhammer sound, jack drill sound. It'll be here the whole episode. Nice.
Yeah. Well, guys, over the last 3 episodes, they've been received really well, actually. I'm super happy with how much you guys are supporting it on Twitter, on all the podcasting platforms, on YouTube. But I just want to remind you, we are on Apple Podcasts, we are on Spotify, we are on Google Podcasts, we are on Stitcher and YouTube if you want to watch the video version. But also don't forget, please interact on Twitter. That's, a place where we can grow and also get the updates out on things like what our guest is and whatnot. So FNTASIA podcast is the Twitter that you need to go follow right now. So let's get started. Let's talk about everyone's favorite game mode. Dreamhack Solos was played out. All of them in the month. We already had NA West. We didn't really talk too much about that last time we went through, but it was a long time ago. So big ones is NA East, Furious. That was 2 weeks ago. And then EU also happened. Furious winning again after, winning FNCS Invitational, not necessarily doing the hottest in FNCS solos. And then now finally coming back. We've been talking about controller players this like last couple episodes, and Furious has been up there in the tier list, right?
Yeah, it's just I think all kind of I'm not sure if you can still hear the drill, but it's all like you can, we're chilling nice. All controller players in general, I feel like have a general buff in solos.
Yeah.
It's more of the fighty mode. It's more where you can get away with fights over and over and over again. Especially the way everything's set up. And so it's just I think it's free for Furious now. You learn the meta. A bunch of players do now, controller or not. And once you do, and you're as aggressive as him, it's wraps.
Yeah. I like this result too, this leaderboard. Skittles is up there, DGen, Okus, Trashy, Who Fishy. So this Dreamhack was basically, to me, like, proving that all these guys that we've been talking about for, I think everybody's been talking about as like underrated players are actually performing consistently, are still doing it. And now they're really at the top of the leaderboard. Still need to see a win for Skittles. DGen, I think this is probably his highest placement.
I think he's been top 5 multiple times before, off the top of my head. Maybe semis, but I think the main thing for me is that, like, I keep coming back to this, and we're on the topic of solos, and at East at least, it happens more. Like, I feel like there's a bunch of people who are not playing / not trying for Dreamhack, like as much as they should be.
Well, I'm pretty sure I heard Stretch say he's like literally not playing the Dreamhacks, even though he's a champion. He's just like, yeah, screw it. Like, I was saying that on Benji's stream, so. Yeah, I expect actually that's pretty prevalent. We haven't seen Zayt in literally any Dreamhacks, even though we know he's a prominent, like he's pretty good at solos if he took it seriously. I don't know. But anyways, over to EU for results. We had Kinzel win another one, and he won actually the prior dream was no, it was Teak who won 2 times. Kinzel won the one before, I think in August, right? So yeah, this is good. We're starting to see really, really consistent. And this is why having a lot of solo tournaments is actually fairly good and fun, because we get to see results like this where I really didn't expect us to be doing it month after month, having back-to-back champs. This is really cool to me.
Yeah, and like the way it actually worked out, if you guys got to watch it, it was followable, and it was more than just a 2-person race at the very end, which was really nice to see. It was kind of between Savage, Xenio, and Kinzel. And like as you know, as solos is, the more I feel like we have them and the more people can learn, the more interesting they get over time. I thought honestly it'd be the opposite kind of take, droning on over and over, but like it's actually really cool. Like seeing Jamside get 4th, do well, like that was sick. Just watching him play overall, because
Oh,
he's not usually, up
yeah,
in the top
he
5.
hasn't done
So
this well in a long time, actually. That's a good point. Didn't even see Jamside
yeah,
up there in 4th. But yeah, that's really fun. I mean, in trios, they've been doing pretty decently, actually. So maybe that's like all tied together. But one thing I did want to talk about for the EU Dreamhack is that we had a patch literally a couple days before, after the Opens had already played. So semifinals and finals played with the broomstick in the game, the mythic broomstick that you could literally fly around in with. It's basically like the Silver Surfer board. Then in the middle of the finals, I don't know, you're casting like literally, I think last game disabled in the middle of the finals. I don't know
yeah.
how to feel about this, man.
It was for game 5, 6, and like Castry just won. And watching the people who were doing well, maybe that's why the leaderboard was close, because all the people who were doing well till game 4 were doing well. As soon as they take out the broomstick, we never see them again. Like in deep end game, like they're not there, and everything changes. The gameplay changes. Like and like the story that we're trying to build, it was just kind of shambles, because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I wonder why this guy is now doing bad. Like we know. Can't really
you don't want to say
that.
it's like, oh yeah, the broom's gone, so the guy's not doing well anymore.
So this guy's like dog now, right? So like, yeah, so that was like kind of a shifter, 100%.
Yeah. And it actually kind of proves the theory sometimes. And I'm not saying that these guys are in that way, because obviously you remove a major part of your game mid-tournament, you're not going to be able to adapt that well at all. Some of these guys probably went into the game not knowing that the broomstick was disabled. They're like, what the hell? But that's just mind-blowing to me. I don't know if there was notifications or something. There probably was, but in any
There was
case,
a tweet, yeah.
A tweet isn't really helping.
But there's no
anybody
in-game notification, right? It's kind of wild.
No, there is.
Like, if we take a second to think about that.
That's what I'm talking about, right? There is an in-game notification sometimes, but not all the time.
Really?
Like right now, there's one in there.
What?
There's one in there for the gas can. It says the gas can is disabled right now in competitive playlists. Yeah, that happens every once in a while, but I'm not sure if they got it out in time for this. So yeah, that's
is that enough?
No,
is that even enough?
That's not enough.
Like,
no, like
seeing some random yellow text pop on your screen, like
you literally. That's why other tournaments have admins, right? That's why like you have people who could hop in a Discord channel with you and say, "Hey, this is happening." Like if there's any changes like that in other tournaments. I don't know. That's messed up. But what I was basically saying was, back when we said, oh, people are baller players, or oh, they're only winning because of one thing. Like this is the best place to see that, like very clearly in action. And there is some merit to it. I'm not saying that Dezino or anybody like Castry was winning the tournament solely because of a broomstick, because if they
why not say that?
Why not say that? Because I don't want to be too harsh, and I didn't watch the tournament, so I honestly don't even know.
I'm just saying, on that game 4, Castry literally won, and it was still skillful use because of the broomstick. Like he would not have done what he did without the broomstick. It'd be saying like, a pump shotgun got removed.
What do you think
about? I don't think it's harsh.
What do you think about the fact that they're actually removing the broomstick and Silver Surfer in general? Like, to me, that was it was obviously OP, and the broomstick only had the 20-second cooldown rather than 30-second cooldown, which even then was still OP. But to me, that was an item that, like, I didn't actually see there was a huge problem with, like a caddy launcher or like a Doom's Mystical Ball.
Isn't that what we wanted though? Like to have Silver
100%.
Surfer and broomstick removed, right?
Yeah.
With the initial thoughts of having everything else removed as well, my overall standing on it is that, man, it's kind of weird. Like, I liked having that one flavor guy and, like, operating, if you're in game, off of knowing that one person has that, because it's loud, the broomstick, the Silver Surfer, you can notice it. Like, going back to, like, I think I was talking to someone about Arab's coaching. Like, there's unique things that you're not going to get fighting, the same normal loadout, the chapter 2 season 1 loadout 24/7, right?
Yeah.
Like, a guy with the Silver Surfer lands in your box, and now you can track that cooldown and think about what he's going to do next, right? Like, you have a 20-second window where he's down one item, and then it's going to pop in again. You have an expected fight, and then there's rotates, right? It opens up the map in certain places. Yeah. I think it's a net negative, but like, it's still interesting.
My question really though is about Epic, like, because I would never see them removing this item before. Like, to me, this is an item that they put in the game, and they're like, yeah, this is good for comp, or not necessarily good for comp, but good for them. That seems like a shift in philosophy to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe,
What was the
it's 'cause
issue as to
2 weeks
why we
thing.
removed? Like, why did they remove?
I think it was
just because
bugged.
of the 2 weeks thing?
I think it was
Oh,
bugged.
okay.
I genuinely think it was bugged, and maybe the broomstick was bugged too. But in any case, I'm done with that topic. Let's move on. We did have after this, actually during this, you got to announce the fact that DreamHack Duos is coming out. You baited the community a little bit. What are we thinking about? Like
Yeah.
moving? No, maybe we'll talk about it in a second, because not only did DreamHack Duos get announced, but we have Arena Duos, and we got semi clout farmed, I guess, by competitive Fortnite with their apparently new community management, which is freaking amazing. But this is not something I would have seen or thought, even imagined them doing ever, 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 even with an increased good social media. Now they're even doing, like, you know, sick call to actions, getting the community involved in something that we really, really want.
Yeah, it's like a whole ecosystem change, because usually like we're in a little bit of a corner, but this is like in the game main modes that people will play of all shapes and sizes, right? And then this happened. You're saying a little bit of an impression farm. This is like 100K, almost 50K follower impression farm, billions of views. Can't quote me on that, but it's
I think it was 70K followers within that time span where they were like,
Jesus.
they tweeted, they said, you know, 1 million followers, and we get Arena Duos, no cap. Like, that's sick. And the other thing too is it actually feels like they are in tune with the community, like everything. Like, this is literally something you would see from a player tweeting, which is so fun to me.
It's just like, I'm scared. I'm like low-key scared that it's going good, because usually when it goes good, somewhere down the line it ends up going a few steps back. But like the coolest thing about it is that summertime is over, right? Summertime where rifts are introduced, Thanos is introduced, the charge pump is introduced, is gone, and then we get things like squads FNCS, we get things like this. So like this is just the start, which is the coolest part about it, and we have like at least what 3 or 4 more months of this guaranteed.
And this is only positive. I don't think that this is ever gonna, I mean, I guess it could turn eventually if, for example, we have another really, really negative season. But in any case, like, I think this is going to continue. There's only benefits for them. And it's obviously a good way to build, you know, positive engagement with the community, both sides, right? This is kind of like repairing the rifts that have been formed over the last year, maybe year and a half, right? So in any case, this comes with Arena Duos, and this comes with DreamHack Duos. I'm not sure how I feel about switching to DreamHack Duos. I'm not gonna lie. I'm honestly kind of pissed off that the community is so finicky with what they want to play. It's like 1 week or 1 season, they're like, yeah, we're playing FNCS duos, and they're like, let's bring back trios. Sorry about the cam, by the way. I see you guys complaining about that. Hey, it's just, you know, you guys got to go watch on Spotify. You got to go listen on Spotify. The viewers there have no clue that there's any issues whatsoever. I don't know. What do you think about DreamHack Duos?
So I tweeted out a bit about it too, where it's like, oh wow, you know, the World Cup was so sick with solos. We should bring back solos. Or I miss being on a team. I want trios. Trios is too much. I want duos. And the cycle continues and continues. But like for me, I don't think it ever has to do with the mode. The finickiness is because of like the impact of the actual FNCS or like competitive. It never riles up to anything. So it just feels like we're droning on and on and on, and we need some type of change that changes the climax, or that changes something fresh.
I see.
Like we never hit a peak where we can now chill in the mode, learn something new, and then go hit that peak again. Like,
so what would that peak be? In
that's a good question. Like the fact that we've had like, and we talked about it last episode, right? So many dream hacks, but every time it just feels like it's getting a bit more cash cuppy. But like you have to rep 3, you know, regions, and you have to have it every month. Like, was my question for this, like as a rebuttal to you, if it was duo since August, would the community ask for remote change?
Yeah,
I think so.
I think so. Yeah, I mean they've proved it so many times that they just want the next thing, right? It's like shiny new thing. Like, let me have it. That's how I feel like the community. I mean, it makes sense. The attention span is kind of short.
No, it's just, they don't have anything. I just feel like they don't have anything else. Like we never had this issue back in the skirmish days, right? No matter what the mode was. Granted,
well, that's because
we were
a little bit newer. All the modes. We were literally playing all the modes, right? It was every week we were switching duo solos, duo solos, duo solos, like plus format changes constantly. That I think satisfies that attention span need, right?
So is that Fortnite then? Like, is that what
I
we should be
think so.
clinging on to 24/7?
I
Because
think
I
this
know
is
there's
Fortnite.
this. Yeah,
I think
like
we're literally going to be switching modes constantly forever, and I think that's
yeah,
bad. But I think it is what it is, and we can embrace
it,
it or not.
mhm.
Because
'Cause
not only is Epic interested in changing modes constantly, I don't really necessarily think I understand why they do that, but the community is clearly happy with it, except when they go to solos. But at the same time, solos is also one of the most played game modes, blah 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 blah, and
mhm.
it's good for everybody to have a solo FNCS, for example, even though the community doesn't necessarily want it. I don't know.
Invitationals, man, that's the wave.
Invitationals are good. See
I
that?
love
Yeah.
the invitational, regardless of like that it was solo. I actually liked it more kind of because it was solos.
Mm,
Going on a tangent here, but I just think like time and place. Like I think we can have consistency if we
yeah.
just do it over time.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I've been having
Does that
like
make
the
does it make
the
sense? Like
yeah, for sure. Like
like duos for like
doing all these
July to
switches.
October.
Yeah,
Yeah, but like
exactly.
set switches in the year so you know what's coming, right?
Mhm.
And then because I think the coolest thing about a switch is you get to play with old nostalgic feelings and then take what you learn from new teammates and possibly form new god duos, trios, squads that you didn't have before, right? And you can't get that if you're playing duos 24/7, trios the whole year, and squads
It's a
the whole year.
trade-off
You
though,
don't
right?
get the
Because like I
yeah,
don't get the follow the one trio who's been winning everything. Like the only one that I have any sort of consistent storyline with is Zexor, Mac, and Calc, right? Like the winners broke up. So many, like it's just a mess, to be honest. But yeah,
yeah.
there's trade-offs all over the place. I did want to talk about how other regions, the smaller regions, are kind of asking for other dream hacks. Is that even worth it?
No, and they're asking for the wrong thing. So this is another thing that like I'm not sure if you get this question in your chat a lot,
Mhm.
but it's like well not this is gonna be kind of awkward not now, but it's like when they're like, you
Too
know,
deep,
hey, are you
bro.
casting this weekend, right?
Uh-huh.
Like on the FNCS or whatnot, but they
Uh-huh.
don't know the difference between a caster and an analyst, and
Yes.
they see that as the same thing. So they think just being on the broadcast is casting, right? I think people are asking for a third party, like can we the ask should be, can we get a third party organizer to do the same
Yes.
thing DreamHack is doing, rather
Okay.
than hey, can we get a DreamHack? Like
Mhm.
it's not. I understand what they mean when they say, can we get a DreamHack? Just like I understand when people say, hey, are you casting? Right? But
Yes.
I don't think they
Okay.
understand what their ask is overall.
You got to the point. I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I agree with you. We should be looking for another third party because even DreamHack, man, they're overloaded. Like they're doing NA
Yeah,
West, NA
man.
East, NA like everything.
And it's the
EU,
same crew. It is the same
the
crew.
same
If you guys,
crew.
it's the same crew for three of those like regions.
Mhm.
Like
The only thing that
for
changes is the
five, what,
casters.
barely
Barely,
even,
yeah.
right? Like it's some of the same casters for the whole time. So it's like,
Mhm.
I don't know. The thing that I think is the scariest for Fortnite, the scariest hurdle to go over is events on the same day. Like
Yes.
there's, if we want to make this work, Middle East has
Yes.
to happen on the same day EU is happening. NA East sometimes might have to happen on like the exact same time slot that an OCE tournament is going on in, or an NA West. I don't know time zones,
The
but
issue though is that those regions, while for example, FNCS, that's happening, but they're not getting the same attention and love because other regions are kind of overshadowing them. I don't know if it's even that, but there's no broadcast for Middle East. There's no broadcast for OC. There's just viewing parties and whatnot. Like there's nothing official about them, anyways.
is
And
that
I
on
think that
Fortnite to do
yeah,
now?
yeah, I think so. I think if you're putting a
Really?
tournament on, the only way to
Mhm.
really not the only way, people will play tournaments no matter what if there's a prize pool, right? But if you
Okay.
want them to grow, if you want viewership to grow, if you want the player base to grow, you've got to be feeding attention to it. That's promoting it, right? That's having an official place for people to watch and follow what the heck is going on week after week, month after month, event after event. And the broadcast is a good way to do it. It doesn't have to be epic, but somebody has to be doing it for tournaments that they're running, and that's kind of where we're getting at with DreamHack being overloaded. Like a third party could do that. Um,
Mhm.
it's it's the same reason why you don't have any league tournaments at the highest level being run in other regions that they all have broadcasts. They all have really good
They all
broadcasts.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Garena included and stuff, right? Like I guess like that's part of the puzzle that needs to come first. Because then those guys broadcasting could set stuff up for, you know,
yes,
a
international
DreamHack type thing. Yeah, international, exactly. So
yes. All right,
that needs to be the step one.
Last thing I want to talk about duos. Arena duos is in the game with solos and trios. To me, that is so sick. That is so sick. If we could get squads too, that'd be insane. But I don't think we have the player base yet for that. But one thing that's obvious is that we can run all three at the same time in the major regions. I'm not sure how it's going on in OC. I've seen some feedback that's like, it's okay. It's running pretty decently, at least for some people. But queue times are fine. Queue times are fine.
Yeah. We've had this once before, right? Where I think squads, trios, and or right before it maybe, and solos were in the game altogether. And people were trying to pick what exactly to do. It's cool, man. Like there's not much else to really go back and forth.
I can log on the game and play it no matter who I have ready to play with me. Like it's actually
that's true.
Sick.
Yeah.
Like sure, Arena Phil would have solved that issue with trios, but it's the thing is though that we literally do have 3 different games being played at the same time. Like nobody really gets that, right? But it is 3 different games.
Absolutely, it's 3 different ways you can 50-50 Stark chests. That's crazy, man, because that's all people seem to do in Arena is literally run the Starks. Every single person I've played with on Discord, hey, you want Arena? Sure. Ruby landing, man. No comms, drop Starks. We die 5 times, somehow positive on points. I don't know how it works, man, but it's working.
Oh my goodness. Okay, that's done with the duos talking. We have had 3 weeks of FNCS qualifiers, and it's now over. We now move into the season finals. I want to know your major takeaways from FNCS qualifiers in general from the 3 weeks we've had.
Okay. It might seep into some other topics we have to talk about, but so far, kind of unexpected. In terms of just the resurgence of Sweaty Sands and how dominant it is in general. How FNCS felt overall in terms of just you know, the 2-day quals. It's interesting. It's nice to have that much meat, and I feel very different watching them on both 2 different days. The story though, there's a lot of story to follow, and that's cool over these 3 weeks. We're gonna have a lot to dive into, but I still feel like it's so top heavy.
Yeah, to me, one of the big topics I wanted to talk about was that Sweaty Sands won 3 out of 3 EU weeks. All 3 qualifier weeks were won by a Sweaty Sands team. One of those being Andalex Nate and 4ZR, and the other one, sorry, not Andalex Nate. I mixed them up because of whatever. Janice X Sweez and Andalex, and then Kezix 4ZR and Nate. 2 of those being the Kezix team, one of them being Janice last week because the other team didn't qualify. But this is a team that is sharing this over qualifier weekends because they did have week 2 qualified both at the same time. And Kezix 4ZR and Nate won. Janice and them were not landing on them. It wasn't like Doom's Domain where they're griefing whatever. And so my question is, are we talking about the right POIs? Because 3 out of 3 is big.
I feel like there's a little bit of fakeness going on with how big Sweaty Sands is. I don't feel like every POI is as evenly given a chance on the map at the moment. Like Doom's Domain was figuring its shit out, man. You have to understand. Right? Like some games, Stark was figuring his shit out. So like, I'm just looking at, you know, those grand finals where everyone wants to have everything uncontested and have their wave to play how they want. I don't think Sweaty's going to be in the mix there. I honestly don't. Because every time we see Dooms or Starks win, Sweaty's like nowhere to be seen. Like literally nowhere to be seen.
That's not true at all. That's not true at all.
Completely. Not completely
maybe in
nowhere.
East, yes. But not in
East
EU.
is what I'm,
Aqua, no Riley, and Reason were uncontested in week 3. Or I said week. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that, yeah.
Some games they wiped them instantly. Doom's Domain was pretty much done. Like they basically had an uncontested game, right? None of those games did either team who had the wiping being done moved on to do anything good. In pretty much any of those games, except for the exception of Zayt, Saf, and Stretch in week 1 or week 2 or whatever, where they won the first game. Like, and Stark, Mongrel's winning. So Stark is different. But Doom's Domain teams, when they were winning, even if it was like a pure 50-50 and the fight went on uncontested pretty much after that, they just were not doing anything.
Are they playing to win though? Like this was my other point or my other question seeping in my mind every time I take a shower. Like, are these teams like Saf and Stretch, once they're done with Spawn, really playing their hearts out to win these games.
Yeah, that's a stakes thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like yes.
Because I feel like
yes.
I don't think so, man. Like comparatively to Sweaty Sands teams, like the guys really landing there, breaking down their drops. Kha'Zix 4-0 Nate.
Yeah, bro.
I feel like they're putting in more.
I think
work.
you were underestimating how much they were W king around Sweaty Sands in the early weeks. Like it was actually kind of gross the amount of fights they were getting in all around the area, like conditioning that area by themselves and still winning. I don't know. I think you have a point, but I don't necessarily think it's all the way there. I do think that when you go into a week contested, you have a different mindset than everybody else, right? Because you're like, okay, our goal is to win the fight, and everything after that, you know, they're not necessarily working too hard. Like even if they switch that mindset, it's not there. Because even Savage, Lecce, and Benji are kings of winning customs, and they just were not doing anything after wiping Aqua on them in the first 2 weeks.
I feel like you can give Sweaty Sands the title of king of qualifiers, but not king of the meta and on the map right now.
And they're going to fight in grand finals.
Yeah, very true. Will they though? With how things are going, like so. They both.
I think in order for Janice X and them to win, they have to have Sweaty Sands. They have to be landing Sweaty Sands, and that's like, the point. And Kha'Zix and them are not going to leave Sweaty Sands no matter what. So because they played all 2 weeks there and warm-ups. And when they fought in warm-ups, by the way, it was granted, again, we have to look at this with a different lens because they were fighting in warm-ups with no stakes and just griefing the shit out of each other. In grand finals, they contest is going to be different. I think out of two teams that will play very, very smart out of it and just, you know, disengage and not actually fight because they want to win the grand finals and it's 12 games and you have to basically be as consistent as possible. They are the two teams to do it compared to, you know, Benji and them. If they were getting contested.
But see, like, I feel like even if Benji was getting contested at Dooms, like, they would play to win that. They wouldn't play to get a top 8, which was what the qualifier was about. Like, that is a lot of the team's attitudes. A majority of the time, while they're playing those weekends, is to kind of get top 8 overall. It's not really about, I want to win the week. Like some teams who start to get ahead and really start flexing, just like the Grizzly Rams trio, right? Who were started off first, stayed in first for like 5 games. Then their mentality is like, okay, how do we keep maintaining first? But they're fighting teams that just want to get top 8, that are happy being top 6 every single game, right?
Yeah.
Which might not fly in grand finals. So I would say king of quals, but I think we have to be careful saying that Sweaty Sands is the best POI on the map at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I always think it lingers there. Obviously, the mythic POIs have some say in that, but again, it's conditional on what's actually happening around them, right? Are you getting contested, and by who, right? That literally changes the quality of a POI, straight up. But anyways, quals is done.
Still though, I got a question, right?
Okay.
I got a little bit of a checkup for you. FNTASIA vibes. How are we feeling? We've asked it every week, but in between quals to grand finals, some of the most intense games we see on the planet of Fortnite not happening this week, right? Some of the insane buildup seeming pretty tame. I'm not seeing any frenzy farm type stuff going down. Like,
oh yes, you
maybe
are.
There's some
Come on
things
now, like
not to that extent, man. It's
come
like, okay,
on,
there's a fight at Dooms.
We have a full drama thing unfolding at Dooms, and it leads to actual bans and stuff like that. Like, if that's not a build-up moment similar to Frenzy Farm, if not bigger in terms of scale, I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's not leading anywhere because it's conclusion, but there's still, like, in EU, we have the fight at Starks. That shit is still going on. That shit has been brutal. Week 1 and week 3, like, just full-on 50-50s. And in NA, it's similar too. Like, I don't know. I think there is those types of stories. I think we just need to hunt for them. I don't think that we've really been doing a great job at hunting for them. And to me, yeah, I think, honestly, I really enjoyed all 3 weeks of trios this season. I really, really enjoyed them. I thought there was fun things happening. I really liked week 1 the most because I actually fully watched that. But, you know, week 2 and week 3, I watched from my bed and, you know, different circumstances. So, but still, like, looking, like, always seeing something exciting going on to me was I enjoyed them, and I think the vibes are high for season finals. I think that the hype is missing, though. I think it's missing. We don't have any hype trailers.
Why?
We don't have anything. Why? Because we're not doing it. Straight up, nobody's doing it. Epic is not doing it on the official broadcast. I didn't put out hype videos. You didn't put out hype videos. There's nobody doing anything. Like people, the most we're doing, players are not doing anything either. They're just tweeting about griefing and drama and drop spots, which is normal.
Yeah.
But if we want to get hype, we have to get hype. We have to do it.
You're saying that it's just like a player/personality issue of everyone in the scene right now. It's not an issue with the game itself. It's not an issue with the format.
Everything. No,
it's an everything.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Come on, man. We could make a frenzy farm if that's what you want. We could definitely do that. Come on, man. That was partially driven by us, if you remember. Yeah. Sure, it was Arab being a big personality and literally, hamming it up. Same with chat. It was like two personalities clashing. Same with the grotto, right? Like those things are based, like they're happening in game. It's just the personalities that drive them.
Yeah.
So
it
the
just
issue is
like
us. It's the community. It's everything. Nah. It's not sticking because we're not doing anything about it. That's my point.
Okay. All right. Is it because we're jaded? That's like the last ask about that topic. Because like I'm actually low-key interested. It's like, I don't know. Even though Frenzy Farm was like, it was literally just an off-spawn fight with like a little bit of banter on stream. Still brought up to this day. Yeah, okay, big banter, 100%.
Bro, you forget during our broadcast of that event, we literally we had a whole sheet about it. Frenzy Farm, like week 4, they beat the shit out of each other. We had a freaking clip in the hype video. We talked about it over and over and over. # defend the farm. We had so much of that stuff. Grotto 2 was the same thing, and that was week after week. The Grotto was open. You remember those videos we made? Like,
yeah,
that should translate to the community. Like, and it's completely missing. True. It's completely missing.
Like, I feel like the community is so much more active with this stuff right now in terms of like, Zayt tweeting out random things, like retweeting like exes and whatnot, or like people in relationships, significant other, kind of savage, but like he's in the business. Like there's crazier things going on now than were said and done before. And then at the same time, like, there's so much more. There's like, it's all dooms maybe, but I feel like we're now just quick to dismiss. Like a beef will happen, a ban will happen, and now we're chilling. Now it's like Monday, like back to work. Let's keep going. But with like defend the farm, with everything else, I guess maybe it's because I was a bit more involved in that. We were a bit more involved. It like stayed. Like I woke up on Tuesday thinking about how's the POI looking today. But like nowadays, it's like, oh yeah, they're just going over to SS Starks again.
That's such a good feeling. Remember after grand finals, we were like, man, like some shit went down at the farm. They were like, yo, they need to commemorate this. Like, they need to burn it down. Like,
and they did. They dropped an island on it, dude.
I think there's a level of maybe jadedness, maybe like, oh, this isn't much. But I also think that there's no focus on it. There's no, and that's our fault. That's and I'm saying our as a whole.
Yeah,
right. That's the people on Reddit talking. Like, yes, it might be because people are ignoring it, because it just happens, and they're sick of it or whatever. I don't know. I think we just need to twist it in ways that make it fun. But yeah, to answer your question, I think, we're jaded. All right. Something that everybody has been talking about for what? It feels like at least 4 months. We've been talking about 2 keys
longer
being synced into 1 key.
Yeah.
The double movement binds has now reached a point where Booga has actually openly shown that he is taping his keyboard for a competitive advantage. This is the Fortnite Tracker article right here. He showed it on stream. And it's pretty clear that, keyboard cams are disappearing everywhere, and that most pros are probably using double movement binds and macroing double movement binds. So what the heck is going on here?
Survival, man. Survival of the fittest, honestly. Like, I think the major issue is a non-comment from the developers, from Epic, like really, or like a real crackdown on it, right? It's like analyzing this hardcore too, to me, like, it's not even really devil's advocate from my side, but it's like hardcore analyzing someone using scroll wheel reset. Like, it just feels like something that everyone should be doing, I guess, if they want to be on the same level as a controller player diving into your box. the person tarping and
so
wanting to
let's
have
be
defense.
clear, I don't
like,
think that macroing double movement binds is, you know, trying to catch up to controller players. I think it's trying to catch up to everybody who's macroing double movement binds. It's like an exploit being used to kill you, and you not using that exploit back because you don't want to be banned, right? It's like, it's
no
do or
one's
die,
getting
right?
banned, but now like everyone around you is doing it. Like there was a time where people thought scroll wheel reset was bannable, right? But like you eventually, when nothing was going on, like you had to do it, you had to adapt, right? There's a time where everyone tried stretched. There's a time where everyone like dabbles into these things. But I think this is just like a very gray area, because we know that historically in games it is not allowed, and like the fact that people are mimicking it. So I just feel like there needs to be an official response.
Well, so why hasn't there been an official response? I've been trying to wrap my head around this. I don't get it, because to me, you know, thinking about the problem analytically, I think this is actually pretty easy to detect, right? I think it's very easy to detect. You just see if people are pressing the same, or are when they, you know, press two keys, or they press one, when it looks like it's repeatable, it's always the same delay every single time. It's like you can tell the difference between somebody pressing two keys with their fingers and the delay between those, and somebody macroing it or taping it. You can 100% tell the difference because of the repeatability.
Even if there was like variants added in, like random variants, via the programs.
I think so. Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just completely misreading the situation. But at least, if you only keep the macro in, like, then if I'm only talking about the macro, that's detectable. Maybe the tape is a little different because that will have random variants. But the pros aren't adding in random variants, bro. Like,
I mean, eventually, like they would, right? If people can,
not if it's bannable. If it's banned, if they get banned for it, then of course they're not going to add in random variants because they know it's illegal. Like,
it's just strange. Like, I'd agree with you on the fact that it's strange in terms of like, it just takes one person getting banned, it's done.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone would touch it.
So why aren't they saying anything?
I don't know.
Maybe it's because there's just so many people so many people using it that are just like, oh, freaking just let it be. But even in that case, like,
okay,
it comes to the thing.
Go for it.
It comes to the thing where basically they can detect it. They probably know how many people are using it, right? And it's probably one of those areas where it's like, wow, people are using this a lot, and we're fine with it. Like, we don't actually think that it's crazy because controller has already has 360 movement. Okay. But if they said something, then they'd be promoting third-party programs, and that's not something that they will ever do. There we go. We got to the answer. That's why they haven't said anything. That, to me, has to be why.
Okay, but then if that's the reason, that means they'll never say anything.
Yep.
Wow.
So,
do you think that's reality? Like, if that's not reality, my follow-up would be, how would you start to address this?
You just you say double movement macros are bannable. Taping your keyboard is bannable
from this point forward. Would that be the way?
You post it on comp Twitter, and then 2 weeks later you start banning people. Simple.
Damn. From that moment on, so nothing done about everyone else using it in the past.
No, of course not.
It's rough.
Of course not. What are you gonna do? Retroactively ban somebody for using double movement binds? Everyone that never said anything.
Everyone knows that it's in the rule books that you can't macro.
Yeah.
So like, just ban everyone that did from day one. You're saying they have the resources to detect it. English, Jesus, but it's like,
well, I don't know how long back they have the resources to detect or no, but in any case, yes.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't understand why not
do that.
Because they created the problem by not saying anything. If they wanted to ban people for it, then that's their fault. Why is it somebody's fault who's like, man, this guy's using a double move, like he's macroing it. Like, if I'm gonna stay ahead of the curve, I need to macro it too. Because they haven't said anything, they haven't banned anybody. It'd be their fault, not the kid who got influenced to do it. You know?
True. It's a unique situation.
Yeah.
And it could be
so many, like, it's not unique. We've had this discussion in other esports too. Cisco
Like
had
what?
this thing too. Yeah, Cisco had you would have smoke throw binds.
Smoke throw
Like
binds? Like
yeah, where you jump throw and you make it so that you throw and
yeah.
jump at the same time. People started macroing that. They started using, whatever.
Yeah.
Any sort of things. It wasn't even macros because you could do that in the game in CS:GO. But in any
Mhm.
case, the rule was you couldn't bind two keys to the same or two actions to the same key or something like that. In any case, like it's not new. This has been happening since the inception of esports, in my opinion. And there's always been rulings on it. I think this might be the one time that there's no ruling in general, but I think we kind of maybe got to the point of it.
Yeah. So what happens though? And this is I'm segueing here. What happens though when you're doing something wrong? You get caught.
Continue. Introduce.
You get banned. You get banned, my friends. Like Aqua did this past weekend. Boom, transition.
Yeah. So Aqua over week 3 during the semifinals. Can you full screen the picture there, Robbie, so that people can see the actual statement? This is Aqua's statement, and essentially he got warned for leaving the game early when he could have been shook down by Benji's team. There's a whole drama on Twitter about that. If you missed it, he got warned for that, and then got banned the next day because of his tweets. So Aqua's gone for 2 weeks. One of the the duo World Cup champion has been banned for what do we say he's been banned for? For tweeting, like what is it?
For it's for promoting. I think the official ruling is you're promoting a competitive ban, a cheat, etc. and whatnot. On social media, which is one of the rules.
So let me read this for the listeners on Spotify. I'm sorry that I acted against my own competitive principles by leaving the game before being eliminated, and I fully understand the warning which Epic gave me during the Week 3 finals. In the last hour, Epic Games have provided me the reasoning as to why my warning was replaced with a 14-day ban. Rather than being banned for leaving the game, it was due to 2 of my tweets being in violation of their rules. It's completely unexpected, blah, 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 blah. So I read basically the part where Epic is telling him what the ban reason is for. Because originally he was just banned for other. There was one tweet where he was literally like saying he was going to cheat in a cash cup, which was a video of somebody cheating, which is just really stupid. And then in general, there was just like a bunch of stupid tweets by Aqua in this entire thing. Yeah. All right. What do you make of this? What the heck?
Few topics that we actually didn't pre-discuss. So one of them is being kind of, should people be banned in game for things they're doing way outside the game?
Yes, 100%.
Really?
Yeah. We would have a much more mature community if this was constantly happening, because this happens in other esports. This happens in sports. You get fined for, saying, talking shit about the refs. You get fined for cursing in an interview. You get fined. Like Zexro would have been fined for that interview.
But hold up. Like, does Zexro get fined or affected in Ninja? I guess Ninja Battles is off of socials, but like, it's just does someone like how do I frame this? For argument's sake, does Zexro get hit in Ninja Battles for tweeting something like not related to Ninja Battles on his own platform? Why would he get hit in Ninja Battles for that?
I think that's a slightly different situation because Ninja Battles is a third party tournament. Their interests are different than the game. But I think that Zexro doing something bad in Ninja Battles should reflect in Fortnite if Epic has an issue with it. Right? So the developer Epic has a different, interest in their tournaments than something else. And I think that they probably are interested in making sure that anybody participating in their tournaments at all times, right? That's like somebody in the NBA doing drugs or whatever and getting, suspended from his team.
Is this equivalent to doing drugs though?
No.
Like
I'm
like
saying,
in terms of like relative,
your behavior should be moderated by I don't necessarily should be, but in cases like this where Aqua is promoting a cheat and promoting cheating to the community, then yes, man, it's obvious to me. 100%. He needs to be actioned. Bro, this is bad. This what he did. like maybe nobody actually sees the impact of it because it wasn't so blatant as Jarvis, but like again, let me reel that back a little bit. He did not cheat like Jarvis. But what I'm saying is promoting cheating is bad, and what we've been doing, what we did in the FNTASIA solos was awful, man. As a community, what we did was really bad. And honestly, the whole reason why people have any things to do is because, the whole reason why competitive integrity is on people's minds in this form about hacking is because everybody was freaking out and accusing every single little thing of, and posting clips on Twitter, and Benji retweeting a guy who's like, "Oh, here's how I use my," that. So even discussing it all, I feel uncomfortable, and that's why he got banned. So to me, like, yes, like this, I don't think this should be even a discussion, to be honest.
100%. I was just kind of playing that. I was trying to look at the other side of the note there, because like to put it in like a storyline, right? Like suppose Aqua does this, doesn't get reprimanded. There's some people that follow Aqua. They die in a cash up and get frustrated. What does the person on my Twitter feed do? Or I'm going on my feed, these guys are all mad. Oh, they're saying they're going to cheat. Like if there's two idiots even that follow through with that and decide to actually end up cheating, it all stems from this, right? So
yes,
in terms of the whole ecosystem, this is just a very, very, very bad thing to do. Just to put it into a scope of a story. Yeah.
I do want to go back real quick about the whole leaving the game. And obviously he got the warning about it, but I think everybody understands now that you shouldn't leave the game if you're getting shaken down and stuff like that. He wasn't getting actively shook down, but there's still people who are doing that. And I'm glad that we did get a warning about that. We do know that it's against the rules and that you will get actioned if you do it repeatedly. Only a warning. Honestly, I don't know if it necessarily, there's not really much that I think is suitable for that. I didn't want him to be banned from seasonal finals because he left a semifinals game, like at all. But thinking about that, I'm glad that that is staying consistent to the old days, basically.
What was like the first instance of that? I'm thinking like all the way back to Funk Bomb.
It was Kenneth. No, it was the same week as Funk Bomb's ban, but it was Kenneth leaving against High Distortion in Summer Skirmish. When High Distortion had him really low, he left the game. He raged. He got banned for something like 4 weeks or something. I don't know why the bans were more. They were longer back then. Anyways, let's talk about the outcomes of this ban, because we talked about FNCS a little bit. We talked about the qualifiers. This means that Mr. Savage, Benji, and Letchi potentially have uncontested Doom's Domain in Grand Finals. Nobody else has contested Doom's Domain in E over the 3 weeks. Wow, that is a shift. And talk about some action really changing the entire outlook on what people think is about to happen in FNCS.
Yeah, first of all, those guys just making it from consistency and not qualling, and now having an open POI. So it'll change a lot. We go back to that conversation about sweaty versus other POIs. We go back to the conversation about just looking at other regions, players that are arguably stronger than a lot of the others, if not the top players of the region, playing on a team together against everyone else. I'm talking about Brazil, right? Like, but when it comes to actually getting wins when people are trying, what is it? 13 or 11 out of 12 games won from Doom's Domain. I'm looking at Zayt, Saf, and Stretch when they have things uncontested and are trying to win. Games 1 to 4, I think, is when they're actually on full cylinders, really, putting everything out there. What is it? A 75% win rate almost, or 25 to 50% guaranteed. Week 1, 1 win. Week 2, 2 wins. Week 3, 2 wins. First 2 games.
Yeah.
Like, and 4 total. So if you're asking me, how does this look in Grand Finals? Really good for the Doom's Domain trio. Really bad for the whole entire region.
Of course. So is it a win? Are we, we talked about Sweaty Sands. Now all of a sudden the picture changes because Doom's Domain uncontested, potentially. Again, it's not necessarily fully happened, but is it just a win? Is Benji, Mr. Savage, and Letchi about to get a win in Grand Finals here?
The difference is momentum, man. Every other tournament I see these guys do well in, it's good things happening in opens and semis. And maybe sometimes the bad thing happening in Grand Finals. The fact that Grizzly Rams has such speed behind them, 3 wins, bro, or 2, like the
2 out of 3,
first 2 out of 3, just winning straight up. I don't know if you can contain that. I don't think those people are going to be like any from the Sweaty. I don't think Mongrel's going to be too keen on feeling scared of dooms. I feel like everyone was scared of retail way back in season X, right? People were scared of the grotto, but like now everyone has momentum coming in, and the Dooms domain trio don't. Benji Savage actually do not have any momentum coming into the weekend.
It's just gonna be interesting because like I guess Benji, Savage, and Lecce have been winning everything where they really don't have to worry about off-spawn fighting, like cash cups and stuff like that. Not necessarily winning everything, but doing very, very, very well. It's just, are they in the mode to actually play well in a grand finals? Are they even in a mode to qualify, bro? For out of heats?
Aren't they uncontested heats?
Top 8, yeah, sure, they're uncontested heats, but like top 8, they haven't achieved even close to that in any qualifier. Even like they didn't even make it past top 15, man.
But these are
Stretch did that while contested, while getting their ass beat almost. Like got really close to being able to do that.
But that's also the other thing that Calc was talking about. Like I'm thinking about Calc's words of EU versus NA and the meta in grand finals lobbies. And now apparently they are, Calc quote, by the way, before I get reprimanded, they are so far behind and so trash. They are dog. Like, you know, is that a thing? Because I feel like when I'm watching EU sometimes, if you don't have half in, half out on height, like a lot of the times your game is schmeat.
Yeah.
On if you want to win.
Except unless you're K640 and Nate, or the Nakors, Clement, and Floki. Those guys are beasts, by the way. Nobody's talking about them. I don't know why. Anyways, anything else about the Aqua ban? Obviously, we're talking about outcomes there. Do we want to talk about stream sniping? No, I don't think I do.
Is he affected the next FNCS, or is he actually?
No, he's chilling.
No? Okay.
He might have trouble with Dreamhack. I don't know when that is. EU. I don't know about the dates.
Dreamhack
But in any
case,
I feel like we would have already been making a big deal if you had trouble in Dreamhack. In any case, we haven't seen Aqua in Dreamhacks at all. Maybe it's because Solos and he had wrist issues. But by the way, Noah Riley and Reason are not banned. So there's that. They played a cash cup with Vidil yesterday and won. Or it was like second or third. Like actually kind of crazy. All right, let's move on. Kind of back again to FNCS qualifiers being over. I wanted to talk specifically because we've been doing this over the course of the podcast. Talk again about 12-game qualifiers and basically get our final thoughts on what we thought about them. So we'll start with Chap. Chap tweeted the other day, as he usually does after finals, the lopsided loop pool with 2 God POIs is going to make this the most uneventful FNCS of all time. Not to mention, they have 12 games to increase their lead. So let's discuss this hot take again and also get our final thoughts on 12-game qualifiers and compare and contrast them against heats that are coming up. So I think he actually shifts his opinion to being more about the POIs, making things lopsided more than the 12 games, but let's focus on the 12 games.
I think no one is really thinking about how a grand finals operates and the amount of teams and the quality of teams in a grand final. The lowest quality of team in a grand final is an 8th place heat team or a 1st place wildcard team, right? Like I actually looked back, and this is one of the first times I've done it. I think it was in Qual Week 2. I looked at the bottom 5 teams. I recognized no names in both EU and maybe somewhat 1 or 2 players in NA East. You have to understand that some of the times there's people in these, the what?
Those won't exist in
that will not exist in grand finals. And like, I'll be honest, using that term, lobby fillers, man. Like a lot of the times, these guys are straight lobby fillers, making it, you know, enough for it to be storm surge, enough to be that type of atmosphere, and they're trying their best. For some people, it's their first time in a grands, right? There's what, 16 to 12 new teams coming in every weekend. That is not the case this weekend, and I feel like that is where 12-game formats really, really shine.
Okay, I was expecting you to go that direction. I think that we were right about 12-game qualifiers and 12-game finals in qualifiers, specifically with the way that we had it top 1,000 down to top 33. There's just so many people who just can't hang over 12 games. I don't know if Chap, like, he's complaining a lot about the 12-game qualifiers. I don't know if he feels that he's not able to hang with his team currently. I mean, they did pretty decently last weekend, so we'll have to see if they continue through heats. But I think that just there's just not enough stakes, right? There are way too many people feeling like Chat is stating that they have no chance. And if you ever get to a point where where teams feel like they have no chance, they're going to do dumb things, and it's going to feel useless to them. And I don't think people should be playing in games like that.
I feel like this, all the opinions are coming out of like qual weeks. All the opinions are coming out of maybe just scrims. Once these guys actually have the experience of heats, once these guys actually have like the analysis down of what they're going to be looking forward to grands, it'll be a paradigm shift, 100%.
Cool. And to be clear, I actually really did like the top dynamic that happened during qualifiers, but I think we can get that in 6 games anyways. Yeah, I like the top 4 having a chance. I really like being able to narrow it down so the last 3 games are really interesting, and you don't have to focus. You can focus on what's important, right? In 6-game formats, we can't do that, man. We really can't, especially in solos. Maybe in trios and squads, we definitely can. I feel like me and you, when we casted, we were very able to really focus down on specific interesting stories because we were hard concerned about that. I think in 12-game finals, it makes it easy. So that's what I really like about him. I'm going to love him during heats. I'm going to love him during grand finals.
I think the one thing too is that on the topic of what's it called? 1 sec. I'm just looking at, okay, we're chilling. I thought my audio still glitchy, by the way, Robbie? I'm just trying to triple check. I'm good. Okay, cool. So I'm going to keep talking without being anxious. The thing about the story thing, which is very, very good about just 12-game formats in total, is you get to really know 4 teams over quals. Now we can focus on maybe the bottom 4 teams or the randoms that qual through heats, and now we have a complete sandwich for grand finals. Like that rollover is really, really sick. And like, just to agree with you, like you can't get that from 6 games. Like you can't.
No, I don't think so. I also don't think that we're appreciating that enough. And it might go back to what we were talking about like, not having hype, not being able to, not making a big deal out of a defend farm and type stuff like that. Like, I think it does go back to that too, in that we're not actually milking the shit out of the fact that we got to watch 36 games unfold for a lot of the top teams that have a say in the grand finals. Like, we got some very interesting things to talk about, but I just don't think that overall as a community we're doing it perfectly.
And the big thing too, now that we're talking about this, I realize, and I'll take a step back on what I was saying about the hype, coming over to your side here real quick. 6 games forces that hype. It's very contained, and things have to happen. Each game flashes fast, right? And we just have that tidbit size to eat. We're not supposed to really talk about qualifiers and have it be like the main thing for everything, right? It's supposed to be the heats and the grand finals. And I feel like we're at an actually good hype level coming in to this weekend. Like, actually, at a very, very good
feel like we
level.
have a significant divider between the two, where it's like qualifiers happened and grand finals happened. I think we did a very good job at making that division this season compared to others. Right? I think squads, there was a break between, which made it really, really easy. I think duos, I don't think we did. I don't remember anymore. That was so long ago, Jesus. But anyways, the other thing too, and let me be very clear about this. More games means you're going to have the better player winning. That's not always a good thing, but I think in Fortnite it's very important with the amount of RNG we have in the game. So I'll leave it at that. Want to move on?
I'm down.
All right. So more FNCS talk. We'll get to other things, I think, eventually. But hey, FNCS is happening this weekend, so it's important to talk as much as possible about it. We have heats starting tomorrow. And let me be clear when I say starting tomorrow, all heats are starting tomorrow at the same time for every region. So EU, all 4 heats will start at the same time. NA East, 5 hours later than EU or whatever it is, they all start at the same time. That's a far cry from what we've had before. Usually they were staggered on different days. Now, because we have 12 games in heats, damn, that is, you actually have to choose which heat to watch. You legit just have to choose which heat to watch and then tangentially follow the other heats. Otherwise, it's impossible to follow, right?
Yeah, and like the only time I feel like we've ever had something like this before is when a broadcast goes black, or like when something like there's an event on the weekend that things aren't like, that's not being covered, like a warm-up weekend, where it's on the community to really look and watch of what they like and post that as offline content. or host that as live content. So we'll have that type of a weekend. I feel like more. Obviously, the big stories being followed on the broadcast, but that's insane. And it reminds me of an open bracket tournament, like 100%, like from a different from other esports,
like First Strike going on right now in Valorant. Like literally, there's a mainstream that's following one game, but there's 32, 84, some other ridiculous amount of games going on at the same time in other places. Yeah, that's 100% what it is. And it also, I can go another step further in the analogy by also saying like it's like trying to follow Brazil at the same time as watching EU, right? Like you know, all these people are like, "Oh my God, King is winning," and they're typing in your chat like, "Yeah, man, but I'm watching EU right now. Like, I'm interested, but I can't go over there and start to follow this thread." I kind of wish that we could, but we can't. There was an idea going around that like, why don't we stagger the start times of the heats and then we could just watch all the end games as a community? Like that'd be sick, wouldn't it?
That'd actually be really nice. That actually be, but I feel like
we miss so much from it though because we want to watch the entire games. We do. I personally am a big proponent of making sure that we watch as many full games as possible as a community because otherwise you're missing the off spawn beef, which we know is probably the most interesting part of tournaments for a lot of people. Other than
for me, it's also like round 4 is as important as round 16 or round 32, like in CS, right? Like the how many rounds, anyways. For me, I just like the fact that people are gonna have to pick and choose. I like the fact that it's more open sourced, open bracketed kind of a viewing experience for just the heats. I feel like we should honestly do more of that and just let people pick and choose. I feel like you'd also get discovered a little bit more there in heats in general. How to cover it, we already went over that a little bit, but yeah, that's all I got. It's cool. I mean, to talk a little bit about the heats in general and how they were kind of, I think it's interesting to talk about how they've been spread out and which teams are in what. It's kind of hot. EU and NA East Heat 1s, obviously the biggest names to watch for. Obviously the ones that everyone wants to see.
I don't get why you're saying.
Would you agree? Obviously, because like it has like, you know.
You're saying like the conclusion of looking at this heat. This is the best heat to watch.
Yeah,
it's not like heat 1 for whatever reason has like it's just naturally that way.
Right? No, I'm just saying like if you look at the. No, I'm saying if you just look at the names. Like, it's not because it's heat 1. It's because of the names in the heat.
Yeah.
So like,
got it.
We're on the same page. Yeah. So it's like those 2 heats are the best to watch. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yes.
In terms of hot names. For action,
we have Mongrel, Tayson, Mitro, and Benji Savage Lechi in a heat together, right?
Yep.
Like that's really cool. I think the one thing, like we don't have a graphic to bring up or anything like that, but I think I looked at them and I don't think there's any significant off spawn fight happening in any heat, which drives my hype down, but it also drives my hype up for the grand finals.
Yes, but I also feel like that is an issue due to the mode. Like you would see a few more off spawn beefs if there were more teams overall on the map.
No.
You don't think so? Really?
No. I think the less the more teams that there are, the more entities in the game, the less fun and important those off spawn fights are, actually.
True.
Like go back to solos. Do you remember a single off spawn fight that was interesting? No. Duos, sure. We did have Grotto, we did have Shark, but that was a unique season. I think duos, yes, but nah, because I think back to squads and I feel like there was more off spawn interesting than at least equal than duos. I don't know. I don't think that's a problem with the mode at all. I think you're reaching.
Okay.
All right. So we were laughing because we were seeing on Twitter just like a bunch of people complaining, a bunch of kids complaining about the heats and how they qualified and how they can't go trick-or-treating. I think that's the most adorable thing in this community. I was telling Steph, I was like, no way, I'm this old. Oh, God.
I don't think it's like trick-or-treating specifically, but they have like Halloween plans. Maybe I'm reaching on that too, but a lot of people structure something for the weekend. If it is trick-or-treating, that's lit. I'm not sure how you do that in COVID times, but hey man, you gotta get that free candy.
Yeah. Or get the free bag by playing in the heats. There's actually people, this is bad. Like there's a bad thing coming out of this, is that there's people who are, they have their plans and they can't play grand finals because of it. And they're already planning to grief heats, which is just awful, which is just stupid. And in my mind, if somebody says that, they need to not only be preemptively actioned, but if they do it in game, like there needs to be action. Like we gotta de-incentivize that idea. Like, oh, griefing for fun or griefing for clout. That's so bad. Anyways,
It's just the follow up on that sometimes can get a little bit, wonky. Like, oh, this guy randomly landed on me here or pushed me in storm. That's griefing. Other guy got banned this guy. But like, that's another one off. Past heats, something interesting ends up happening if you don't qualify, and that is the wild card match.
And hopefully you have a finished bathroom.
Yeah, my bad. It's rough out here, man.
Yeah, dude, I'm so excited for the wild card match. So excited for what's to come in this. I think it's the first of its kind, and I hope that it's not the last of its kind. But I don't necessarily know if it fits in the competitive we'll have to see. Before making judgments on whether I like it or not, I'm going to watch it with very, very interested eyes. All right,
on all regions.
It's gonna be. No, I'm not.
That's what I want to do.
Regions. You think I got time for that? Like, hell no.
It's 7 games. You just gotta watch 7 games.
No.
All right.
Bro, there's way too much already. I do want to get your thoughts on what we can expect out of the wildcard match, meta-wise. Like, is it going to be heal-offs? Is it going to be people playing their hardest in every single region? Like, is it going to be like, carry as many medkits as possible, make sure you know where the campfires are in zone, and shockwave to the campfires with bandage cannon and floppers? Is it going to be like the freaking Twitch Rivals Super Game Blitz tournament, where it's like everybody's fishing their hearts out?
I think it's going to just be a bunch of mess. Like, everyone's going to be thinking about that so hard and avoiding eliminations to the point where like they're skipping places where they could get elims and need elims, and plans go awry. Like, yes, you can hoard medkits. How are you going to make it to endgame without getting impacts? Even though impacts don't matter on points. Like, you have to understand, people are going to be shooketh to their core. Mr. Ballatw, shooketh to their core. Miro reverse, and
we're gonna go back to the PAX West days.
Yeah, it's all the practice, all the strats have been around playing this elim placement format. And as soon as you take elim out of it, a lot of trios that survive, like by getting elims, cease to function. Low ground somewhat ceases to function.
I think that the teams who will be good at this will be the teams that skirt surge by barely staying above, and because of that, they're not getting into risky engagements, but they also aren't taking extra risks to get extra tags. So teams that barely stay above surge and then play a very passive low ground style, in my opinion.
Man,
I think that's the team that's
the other thing is you're assuming that these are teams that
like
can
Chap,
come
example.
up like Chap.
I think Chap is somebody that I'm thinking of, like who. Well,
I'm thinking
I don't know how he's playing with Coop and
Hoofishy.
I don't know how this trio specifically works with Surge, but in the past, historically, Chap has rode Storm Surge just barely back in the Liquid Luck days, back in the trios days.
Ironically, Arab kind of does the exact same thing.
Yes.
But I'm like thinking about these trios, Arab, like Chap, hey, Zayt would be so good at this format. They're not going to be the teams we're looking at playing this format. These are 9th to 16th place teams. It could potentially be, but not.
Dude,
not
the
on
sickest
average.
part is that we will have one of those teams be in there. We will. It is like a guarantee that we will have at least 1 or 2 teams that should be qualified for grand finals playing for keeps in wildcard, which makes it even more cool.
But like the median and mode team that's playing is not going to have like that level of adaptiveness, that level of like, cranial knowledge to be able to do things like that. So like, that's where things will start to get really messy. And I know people are expecting some insane game or like some crazy, well thought out plays. I think that well thought out part is not going to be there. The craziness will be. I'm talking about people just getting nervous and your IGL's making the call. I see some of the best IGLs do that sometimes nowadays too. Some of the top rated ones. We got a shockwave for height. Like, we got to do it. Commit. But like, it's gonna be 10 trios wanting to do that because that's the way you win the game, right? So it's like, it's gonna be wild, man. It's actually
that's
gonna be
the way
wild.
how you win the game in kill incentive, but
true. And see, that's the thing. Like, even I'm skipping up over here. Like, people don't know and haven't tried to win like the classic way, like when things were thresholds where you needed 3 kills for a point. Like, it's gonna be nuts, and it's only one game, so you can't adapt. Like, I feel like the region with the biggest
if you are in a wild card match, you need, or if you have a risk of being in the wild card match after day 1 of heats, you best believe you need to be watching the wild card match for OCE, for Asia, for all those regions that happens before
100%. Yeah.
Because that's the only research. So
the toughest.
Fucking F for OCE and Asia playing their wild card match. They got no clue. They got no clue. But hey,
man,
the X2 twins will do fine in the wild card match because, you know, Jesse can heal off and win 3 games in a row at AO on land. So.
True.
All right, we're starting to run out of time, so let's try to speed through the rest of these. Wild Wednesday has all of a sudden been the talk of the town for a number of different reasons. I thought that we would probably skip over this as a competitive topic overall, completely for the entire history of time. But today we have a box fight tournament, and it's branded under the Wild Wednesday thing, and it's the first of its kind. It's finally happening in game. There's been rumors about arena box fights and box fight tournaments forever, for like the last 6 months, and now it's happening in game. I don't know if you got a chance to watch any of it. I was watching Benji earlier. I was watching a couple different people on EU play it, but to me, it was the most boring thing ever to watch. And also, I played some of these LTM box fights tournaments, and they're exactly the same. Also, one of the most boring thing to play because you just, like, it's just, you're fighting bots, man. Like, I don't know what's going on. You get 20 wins and they're all bots.
I was just thinking that idea is cool. I just wish that they pivoted at some point and thought about it and said, damn, we could make this better. Like, the same thing that happened with SND, I feel like happened here. As cool as SND was, I was on the bandwagon. At some point, they should have pivoted and tried a different mode under this light. Although I'm not sure how much it takes for the setup to make sure there's no bugs, like how early you have to plan to do a box fight. But for me, it's like, I just wish this was Zone Wars, or like something where there's glaring issues that are going to be a problem with the mode. Let's skip them. Let's get something dynamic. This is sick. It's just, I agree with you. To watch, I'd watched a little bit of OCE. It was people just holding left-hand peaks, not moving. Man.
Yeah, it's
like
so
that was
static,
some
it's
gameplay.
really
Like,
I mean, I've watched box fight tournaments before. Yeah, I definitely agree Zone Wars are better, but I don't know if they'd be much better. Nah, they'd definitely be better because that's more
it's
Fortnite
dynamic
than box. Yeah.
Even with box fight champs, like sometimes the most fun part about it is when you have teams that you know that are playing back to back, side to side, or you have like you have big names versus big names, and it's the personality showing through those lull moments, right? Yeah. Like, that is the fun part. But when it's you versus someone completely random with numbers in their name, there is no personality. You don't get the beef. You don't get the stories. So it doesn't matter. Just make it something more dynamic.
And anonymous mode is always on for everybody, so you have no clue who's playing. Like, oh my goodness. There was also a bug where you could just literally leave and not have your loss count that Benji tweeted about just now. Yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing. Makes it even worse, unfortunately. But hey, it's the LTM tournament. I would expect bugs like this to be happening. And again, it's not the highest stakes to me. I don't really care who wins these. They're fun. Again, casuals can play. Whatever. This is like a little sweatier, but still more fun because you're playing by yourself. Whatever, you can just hop on and play a little bit. Don't have to play at all. Like, to me, that's the greatest thing about these. I do want to talk about some of the other things too, though, because they have announced this Marvel Super Series that we already had a couple parts of. I think the Marvel Knockout and the Marvel, like, I don't even know what it was called, but everybody was just basically playing TDM in like a bracket form. I think.
Oh, Marvel TDM bracket, I think it was called.
Wow, I'm a genius. And they're giving out in-game outfits. They're also, it's what, $1 million prize pool for the conclusion of the event, which is, I think, 2 sessions down the line. I I think this is really cool, and I don't think competitive players should really be complaining too much about it because, you know, $1 million prize. The thing is that anything that you give $1 million prize pool will end up getting competitive, but this is just not the game that you guys were playing. The issue, I think, is that it's targeting the same people, unfortunately, and Epic has, like, I think they're trying to target somebody else, but it's also just going to be targeting all the pros. I think we saw pretty much only pro teams winning these. Not on
who are you
NA
targeting? Who are they trying to target? Like the more
like just
casual. Okay, listen, this is my thing. You put the word tournament in there, bro, it ceases being casual. Like, no,
but it's not for the winners, though. It's not for the winners. That's the thing. It's for casuals, and it's not intended for casuals to win. I mean, maybe, you know, they try to add a little bit of randomness in the mode and whatnot to make it seem like you have a chance to win, but it's not for people to win. It's for people to have fun, man. You can play ESEA tournaments and seasons and leagues and not be in it to win the entire thing because it's fun at the end of the day.
But like ESEA seasons and tournaments aren't like so far fetched from the actual experience of, you know, watching and playing the top. Like, it's not like I'm going into ESEA dressing up as Wolverine and fucking climbing like through vents. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I think that's the difference. Like, I don't know. It just, I'm not saying it's a
but
bad thing by any means. It's just odd, man.
There are people who would love to play a surf tournament in CS, like on an ESEA, like, or an AMAP.
But I feel like that's like surf is a little bit more respected. Like, you know, compared to Daredevil or to Marvel Knockout. I think that's just the that's the issue. Like, I don't think people would be mad if they made a $1 million zone war tournament, right? Like something that I find this. Yeah, like it's dope that they're reaching out to the community. I just feel like, I don't know,
the respect is being is missed, right? It's like, no, like, competitive in general would love to play a bunch of things. They would love to play a box fight tournament, for example, but that's not what's being. Marvel paid for LTMs, so they get LTMs.
True. Yeah.
I think it might just boil down to that.
Yeah.
It might just straight up boil down to that. All right. Some sad news also, unfortunately. Some very sad news to me. When I read the news yesterday and I watched the video, I was really shocked and honestly speechless. Team Atlantis has shut down. One of the, I guess, most iconic and oldest orgs in competitive Fortnite overall. They're closing down their doors due to circumstances in the world right now, COVID-19, forcing them, you know, not to have all the resources they possibly could, and also not being able to, based on the situation in the world, continue forward. So that's really sad. There's also, you know, some hope at the end of the video. Knock, the owner of Team Atlantis, or the CEO or whatever it is, did say there's, you know, chances it might come back. It's not necessarily forever, but for right now and for the foreseeable future, Team Atlantis is gone.
Man. Hey, first of all, I guess T1 won that fight. Hands down. It's too soon. It's that's where my head first went to. Like, these guys were literally so influential across the world. And yeah, it's crazy what ends up, like, what happens with time, right? Like, that's rough. I'm just wondering that, like, if people got to ride their contracts out, like, how far along was this decision made? Was this very recent? Because they were literally having tournaments like last month? Like,
yeah, there was a tournament literally last month from them. Their Scrim Discords will continue, so who knows? Maybe the tournament aspect will continue too, because they get sponsors for that, and it's not like they're losing money off of those. I think. But yeah, I think contracts for all the Atlantis players ride out until the end of the month. That's October, so 3 days or whatever it is. That means Letshi's a free agent. That means Kaiser's a free agent. There's a lot more, honestly. But the biggest one's right there. I think Letshi, like, damn, he's released. He doesn't have a free Metro situation, which obviously there was some faults in the way that Atlantis ended up running. We never got the full scoop. They ended up releasing him anyways, but still, yeah, just F's in the chat for Atlantis.
Yeah.
What does this say about orgs in Fortnite? Like their sustainability. We've talked about it a lot. We've talked about a lot of signings recently, Cloud9 and whatever. Like there's orgs coming back into it. But Team Atlantis seems to be, to me, they were one of the only teams doing it right. They were making content, they were doing a bunch of stuff for the community. Their social media was great. They had fantastic players. They had Thomas HD at one point. They had Mitro. They had honestly one of the most iconic squads in the back in the days before World Cup. You know, the Kuna, Mitro, Majin, like all those guys. What does this
Yeah.
mean for orgs? Like,
Man, I guess they had it too, so it's kind of like a tough question for me to answer because, like, for me, orgs when they're coming into the space need like a theme, they need a plan, and they just upkeep it over time. Like, I'm not well versed in that business side of things, but like, I feel like that's how you attack Fortnite. You're not there to make like a god roster by any means. You're not there to, you know, be number one 24/7 unless that's your org's theme, right? Like, unless that's your derogative. I think Xset is going for that right now.
Your derogative. You're fucking adorable.
Is that a
prerogative?
Is that a
prerogative?
Oh, prerogative. My bad.
Yeah,
true.
Think about it like a pierogi. It's a prerogative.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I've been using that word wrong for 23 years. Wow. Yeah. It's like it's just I don't know. It's like, what is the point of an org?
Yep. I have the same question about like these new orgs. And maybe we should save this discussion for when we can get an org guest on, which I do have planned in the future. I just don't know when. But yeah, same question for what just got announced an hour ago? Centric Gaming announced by Dion Waiters, former Cavaliers player, still plays in the NBA. Signing Jelty, ADN, Kylie, and Knight. So three EU players. And Jelty from NA East. Also no connections whatsoever. I think ADN and Kylie. Yeah, I'm very confused about this. This seems like Dion Waiters was like, hey, I want to invest in esports. I want to get an org because he plays video games, like a lot of sports players are doing. And his advisors were like, here, sign these people.
Yeah, it's another one, man. It's just another one. And like it links to the conversation of theme, you know, upkeep, sustainability, brand presence. Like, bro, if you go to Centric Gaming, they're not even following Jelty, ADN, Kylie, or Nightstick. They're not. Like, what? Like, I don't get it. Like, I'm not trying to get pissed by any means because I think I was emotional enough the last time we discussed, like, you know, orgs and what they should be doing and like what's happening with Gamma and whatnot. And hey, full respects to Gamma. I feel like they actually have very good identity overall. And like the weeks over the FNCS, it's been dope to follow Gamma. But it's like Centric Gaming.
Well, they also had the timing where it was like right before FNCS, so it made a lot more sense. Right here, like,
yeah, I don't know, man. I hope these guys do well in grand finals, bro. Yeah, you know.
exactly. Hope and dream. ADN's on a very good team that should do well. Kylie is on a decent team. I don't think Knight is doing particularly well. Definitely made heats, but Jelty has been doing very well recently. But in FNCS, it struggles. And actually, to kind of completely segue away from orgs, and specifically about this one, Jelty is playing with the Liege and P-God, and they're landing Retail Row with Unknown, with Sizzlucky, with Felix's team. There's literally 4 teams who landed in qualifiers at Retail Row, landing in the same heat in NAE. So I said there was no drop spot like fights. Yes, there is. I completely forgot about this one. This is going to be interesting.
I think there's like 2 more like 20 to 30th place slot teams that also go retail. I seeped into a call last night. These guys were talking about like what to do. It's just disperse, man. You know, what is it? Like split and conquer? Like everyone is switching spots. Like divide and conquer is what it was. And that's so cool about like heats to grand finals. Like people not going to their actual drops. Like random teams, landing Doom's domain. Like
well, remember in squads, Arab went somewhere. He went like Craggy the first game or whatever to try to figure it out. The first 2 games or whatever. And then there was also Haz's team doing the same thing with I think was Knight playing on that team. Anyways, there's always some weird stuff going on, and I think that makes these heats really interesting. And in grand finals too, there was also Zypha's team in squads landing Slurpee, and Slurpee was a mess. So they were like, yeah, I'm out of here. I'm going to go land somewhere else. These things are interesting. But say we had Jelty versus Unknown versus Sizlucky happening. Sizlucky,
Yep.
Lazar, and whatever. Say it actually happened. Obviously, that's not going to happen. There's going to be maybe 2 teams there. But who wins? Or does anybody win? Is it just GG's?
Unknown.
It's over.
It's Unknown wins hands down. Done.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. It's Unknown, Smack, and Casket, right?
When Elige fought, yeah, Unknown, Smack, and Casket.
Yeah.
When they did fight at retail. By the way, that team has been the most consistent playing contested. Playing contested, that team has been doing really well, like top 5 performances, while still contested out of retail row of all places. Like, dude, that's crazy to me.
The way they play, I would honestly call it like uncontested. Like,
yeah,
these guys are pretty civil about like starting up their game and basically having like a very, 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 very early mid game fight. Like,
yeah.
And they win every time.
They split the half and then, you know,
split the half and fight the half. Like, yeah. So
it's cool. All right. Anyways, I think that'll be it. I think we got through everything. I'm actually surprised. I'm proud of us. But we do have to go. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed. I do want to make sure that you guys continue to support on all the different podcasting platforms. Make sure if you didn't get to catch the full episode, you'll be able to watch it and listen to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, everywhere. Again, DM me or DM the FNTASIA podcast Twitter if you want to listen somewhere else. We'll upload it there too. It's pretty easy. But yeah, so looking forward to Heats this weekend. Shia, final thoughts?
Very much so. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit more of my hammer time.
What are you wearing for Halloween? You guys better dress up on official broadcast. I think that's like a requirement.
Officially,
right?
I cannot tell you what I'm wearing for Halloween. You will have to watch to find out. What about you?
Oh God, Reese needs to know. I didn't even know Halloween was this weekend. I'll be honest.
Oh, damn.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time on FNTASIA Podcast. Peace.